Hello, everyone. Welcome to IAB There, our weekly live stream in which we connect the digital advertising ecosystem. My name is Eric John. I'm the Vice President of the Media Center here at IAB. In today's session, entitled How Do Marketers Drive Efficiencies with Data, we'll be discussing the existing and recently untapped power and wealth of data for marketers and advertisers, and how that's propelling a new program for Samsung Ads to generate custom and unique audience segments within the Samsung ecosystem. So we are thrilled to have with us today our good friend, Justin Evans. He's Global Head of Analytics and Insights at Samsung Ads. Justin and his team helps their clients on 3 different continents understand the emerging TV ecosystem and achieve better performance across their linear TV, OTT/CTV, digital and mobile inventory. Justin leads a cross-center video and TV innovation team. Prior to that, and prior to Samsung, he was VP of Data Strategy at Comcast Spotlight and Effective, where he led the transformation of a $2.5 billion local TV business to an audience and attribution-focused offering. So, Justin, great to see you. I am excited for this conversation. It is super timely. We talk so much about the growth of the CTV space, the streaming space, and how to understand audiences and how they're shifting between platforms. You have some new partners that you're working with and through. I thought we could open up with a question our viewers are probably going to be bringing to the table, which is, if they're a buyer or brand, what is the opportunity for them to work with a platform like Samsung and with some of the partners that you're bringing to bear with with your partnership program?
Yeah, so in Q1 of 2022, Eric, we're launching the Onboarding Partner program at Samsung Ads. And what that consists of is DMP integrations with Acxiom, Adobe, Experian, LiveRamp, Merkle, and Oracle Advertising. So any advertiser who works with those independent DMPs or with the agency that works with those DMPs can onboard their curated data. And the goal of this is to provide advertisers the ability to plan and activate in the streaming ecosystem with their own curated audiences.
So this is like I said, it's a really timely topic. Earlier this year, IAB did a survey with our brands and buyers, part of our video ad spend study. And, we had a sense back then that the whole identity targeting space was shifting. Deprecation of cookie had been underway for a while. But what we asked brands and buyers were how they were leaning on partners to accomplish some of the same performance goals they had. Interesting result from that study is 63% of those buyers were expecting their publisher partners to acquire a CDP, a customer data company. 43% were looking for those publishers to bring to bear data partnerships. 41% were expecting them to develop first-party audience graphs, and 34% were expecting them to hire a data scientist or specialist. That was probably if they couldn't hire them themselves. So this is a sea change in autonomy that we're kind of seeing where brands and buyers are looking to own their own destiny with data, but they can't do it on their own. It's ultimately a partnership conversation. So maybe talk to us about how do you assemble the right partners? How do you work with brands and buyers to give them comfort that they can partner with you and grow their business?
Yeah, there's a lot there, Eric. One thing that I want to jump on in your comment is we're really seeing a trend towards advertisers choosing their media partners because of the proprietary and differentiated data those media partners have.
Right.
So we'll use the onboarding partner program as an example. A client brings on board their curated audience data, and we plan with it because now that they've shared that segment information with us, we're able to give them insights back. And the insights are based on Samsung ads, 42 million opted in ACR smart TVs in the US. And what that means is we've developed a tool called Audience Advisor that's fueled by that data. And what the Audience Advisor does is it kind of sheds a light on the streaming ecosystem, which brings up another topic of like, it's very urgent for clients to be in the streaming ecosystem now because so much of the TV viewing is moving there. It's an important avenue to reach your customer. So when they get Audience Advisor, which is based on our data, we're able to show them, hey, this audience that you've invested in, that you've put in all that sweat with the data science and the data lake and so forth, and you've chosen this audience, how much time do they spend streaming? And when they stream, how much time is spent in SVOD where you cannot reach them, and how much is spent in AVOD where you can reach them? And that kind of sort of hopefully opening that world of streaming to the advertiser is available to them through this partnership setup.
Yeah. Well, that kind of intel is that's certainly front of mind because, you know, any brand, if it's an emerging brand, they need to understand, you know, ultimately is there, you know, where are their current customers, where are their future customers, but it's also for a, you know, for a brand that has been at the game of going direct to consumer for a while, knowing that linear streaming mix is critical. And does this help inform the question of how do I right size my spend as well?
We've definitely published insights about right sizing the spend in television. We published a white paper a few months ago called The Rule of 40, which advises advertisers they really need to be spending 40% of their TV budget in AVOD. Otherwise, they're going to be over-serving linear homes and underserving the growing and wealthy streaming market. But what's also important in what we're talking about is the choice that the advertiser is making around who their audience is. I like to call it kind of an empowerment moment. There's a moment where an advertiser decides that they know their audience better than a third-party syndicated data set can. And by the way, it might not all be D2C, right? It might not all be CRM based or first-party data. It's just I'm going to get a custom view of a third-party data set, or I'm going to use a survey and do a model. But in any case, the clients have invested heavily in data lakes, data scientists, and they've really taken a step forward in owning their own customer insights.
So that begs the question then, why would a brand or buyer bring their own data to the party, right? They're used to using syndicated. They might be already partnering with a platform or an OEM to simply target based on your segments. What happens when they bring their own segment?
We did some analysis ahead of launching the Onboarding Partner program, and we looked at over 200 campaigns that ran on the Samsung Ads platform in 2021. And what we saw is when clients onboard their own data, they see 161% higher conversion rate when it's foot traffic or website conversion compared to any other targeting tactic. And in the media and entertainment domain of tune-in, whether it's a TV network or what we call a content partner or an app publisher, they see 32% higher conversion. So clearly, this generates a return on ad spend for the client, a return on data investment for the client that's really attractive. And we think it's the start of a virtuous cycle where the customer shows loyalty, that gives the advertiser insight. The advertiser is then able to put that insight to work in the advertising ecosystem and sell more stuff.
Yeah. One thing we like to do with this show is give folks watching stuff they can use immediately, put to work right away in their shop. Having a whole group of partners that brands and buyers can work with and through, and then to leverage, your insights and understand audience. That's an amazing opportunity. But what does it mean from a, I guess, a transactional perspective, right? What guidance would you give to a brand or a buyer about how to get their house in order around how they contract with some of those partners, in contract with you? Is it a new era of kind of terms and conditions around data?
Well, the client first needs to have the empowerment moment of deciding that they are going to really own their customer insights and put those insights in a place, in a database where they can deploy it for marketing purposes. That's the key first step. Yeah. After that, and they've chosen a DMP or a clean room, it's really an opportunity to push it out into the ecosystem. At that point, for us, it's really about two of the criteria, or one of the criteria that I mentioned before and one new one. The criteria I mentioned before is working with a partner who has proprietary data that can help your data investment be enhanced even further and enhance that return on data investment. The second is, of course, scale. So when you choose a partner that has a lot of scale in the ecosystem they participate in, that's an advantage, and it means you're getting more leverage out of that integration point.
What would you say, and this kind of harks back to your career and working with clients and data, what's the state of maturity, would you say, in terms of the buying community in understanding this onboarding opportunity, in owning their own insights? Any examples of clients you've worked with who have gotten the aha or haven't? And what's the lessons there?
Yeah, in the sort of before and after picture, there's an experience that sort of burned on my memory. I was at a client's headquarters some years ago, and we were talking about targeting and data and audiences. And I asked the client, I said, you've got one of the largest and most successful loyalty programs in your industry. Would you like to use that in digital advertising? And they said, they just looked kind of puzzled and upset. And they said, oh, those guys are down the hall. That's nothing to do with me, who's working in media. We see that less and less now. We see a lot of clients really leaning in. I think it's been, of course, more common in digital for some time. But what's new now is clients leveraging proprietary data or curated data in television. And of course, now, especially streaming television. One of the great opportunities associated with Audience Advisor is it's helping clients kind of take the mystery out of the streaming ecosystem. If I can see metrics, if I can see my audience, if I can see, how many apps or how many hours a day my audience is using, it kind of takes that opaqueness out of it, and that makes them more willing to invest.
Yeah. So that's an amazing story. Yeah, it's the good news about as technology evolves and even, digital, the march towards digital continues, you've got silos. There's opportunities to break them down. There's opportunities. I mean, you see more CMOs who really have data backgrounds. There's chief data officers as well as marketing officers. What would you hope to see kind of in this going into 2022 for the space, for the opportunity around streaming? If there was kind of a best practice around a brand that hasn't stuck their toe yet in streaming, what would that be?
Well, clients, as I mentioned, really need the comfort. They really need to have transparency of their data, and they should be able to put their data to work in any platform they choose. So I think, in terms, you asked before about the maturity curve, I'd say we're kind of at the 45% mark. There's still a lot of marketers that need to kind of grab onto that sense of empowerment and to comprehensively and consistently choose partners that are going to be able to deploy for them across every ecosystem they want to be successful in, where they want to have a voice.
Yeah. Entertainment and that stat that you shared around performance for anyone that's leveraging audience data. What are the metrics? What are the KPIs that you're seeing coming, to the fore? Because understanding their customer and what actually happens after they run, what's that? Is streaming kind of becoming a forcing function for performance orientation in TV. What's the KPI landscape look like?
Yeah, we see entertainment clients be very acquisition oriented. It's really classic it's marketing 101: acquisition, retention, effectively cross-sell, and conquesting. So it's really for them about a combination of what data worked, what tactic worked, how many days before my launch that I need to start the ad campaign. Did I just do the launch, or did I do sustaining? Did I do an overwhelming kind of 24 hours before the event, or do I start 2 weeks beforehand? All of this is being scientifically examined by the client to find every inch of advantage, because we're seeing one of the most competitive marketing environments that I can remember when it comes to acquiring subscribers and audiences in streaming. It's really fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it's tune in, it's app, installs. It's truly, a landscape. It's a viewer's banquet of content. Yeah, and that makes it a real challenge. So speaking of we're almost, as people are watching this, it's going to be the new year, but we're coming into the holidays now. What is the Evans household going to be streaming this holiday season?
Well, deep in the pandemic, I exposed my 13-year-old daughter to the entirety of Game of Thrones, which